Guys, I honestly feel that State of Decay 3 is about to be the best post-apocalyptic game we have ever seen, and today's bevy of new information I have to share with you, for me, solidifies that in my mind. I am so hyped, guys. It's just unreal. And if you guys haven't heard, there is strong possibilities we are set to hear about State of Decay 3 in this upcoming Xbox showcase, and that's going to be on June 9th. Not only that, guys, but we do have a new info on the main story part of the game, the main single player part, but even multiplayer will be getting some love, confirmed by a developer, and a big new element is coming to State of Decay 3 that I'm super excited about. You guys don't want to miss that. But guys, I do have something that's very personal and very dear to me that I want to go ahead and share with you guys. So guys, I wanted to take a moment to share something that I've never shared with you on this channel. Back in March of 2016, I was diagnosed with cancer, and it was literally the toughest thing to this day that I've ever faced. And I had a tumor the size of a baseball, literally the size of this, near my heart. But I was prepared to fight it physically, but the fight that I was not prepared for or ready for was the mental part. Thankfully, I'm healthy today, but I have to say afterwards, the anxiety is something to this day that I deal with. The fear that that cancer can come back at any time and I have to go through that again scares the crap out of me. And that's where BetterHelp, today's sponsor, comes into play. I've been using it lately to talk to someone, and it's been really helping with that aspect for me. Not only that, I've been talking about things like my health and just getting better sleeping habits, stuff that I still struggle with today. But let's be real though, seeking therapy or help is a little bit like taboo for us guys. That's why I couldn't be happier to sponsor BetterHelp, because if you're feeling the need to talk to someone, I think this is one of the best ways you can do it. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who is trained to listen to you and give you helpful, unbiased advice. The awesome part too is you could do this from your phone or computer, or if that face-to-face is a little too much for you, you can actually just do it via just messages. That way you just don't feel that pressure of that face-to-face. When you sign up, usually you're matched up within 48 hours and you're off, taking a big step in your life to something that can be a bit of a game changer. If you guys are interested, check out betterhelp.com/sunnygamesyt and get a special discount code that gives you 10% off with my link. Thank you to BetterHelp for being today's sponsor. Alright, let's just start talking about all this crazy new info that's been uncovered, starting with an Xbox insider, Jez Corden, who revealed from trusted sources that State of Decay 3 looks far more impressive than its predecessor, with far more attention to visual presentation being a core pillar. Now, as you guys know, State of Decay 3 has been receiving help from the Coalition, the makers of Gears of War. I've also documented numerous times that Unreal Engine 5 is coming into play. And in the past, guys, they literally have had an entire studio dedicated to animations. But the best part that's exciting from this piece is this right here. In addition, State of Decay 3 will lean more heavily into narrative elements to immerse you in the game's world. He goes on to cite the example that in State of Decay 2, your main character is your entire community, and the collective characters kind of make all that up, but you never truly know about their backstories, as you guys know. Well, in State of Decay 3, it'll try to work individual community members' backstories more viscerally, and it's going to try to incorporate into the gameplay to make the trials more impactful and more immersive. And of course, losing your favorite community member to the plague is going to be a huge gut punch. So guys, that is some pretty big information, because that tells me that this game will start diving more deep into each character and why they are the way they are. The community aspect will still remain like it has been the past few games, but it's going to be on a deeper level. Keep in mind, guys, that years back I also uncovered a relationship system that Undead Labs might be implementing, so you guys might see that in the mix as well. Plus, going deeper with each character, imagine like the pain you feel if you lose anyone now. I mean, it will be devastating, especially if there's like a romance involved or something crazy along those lines. But obviously, even when you lose a character in State of Decay 2, you already feel that loss, but that's going to be magnified in State of Decay 3. And I, for one, am really happy that they are getting the story elements pretty much doubled and maybe even tripled down in this game, because I can cite to you at this point a dozen examples, including developers themselves, talking about the narrative and the story that will be created when you're playing this game, and how it's going to be a big emphasis. Actually, let me throw some more proof up on the screen of an old job listing from a few years back for a narrative design director, and in this listing it says establish characters, story structure, storytelling systems to convey the game's narrative content, and then create narrative content in support of missions, dialogue, cinematics, environmental storytelling, and other narrative elements. So based on this info I found, you can believe your community and each character's story is going to be playing a big role. With that, guys, multiplayer is still set to be a much improved aspect with State of Decay 3, and I've also documented multiple things myself over the years, but I found a few months ago by developer Brand Fitzgerald on Reddit where he talks a little bit about multiplayer, and it was promising to see because in this Reddit thread where someone was actually complaining about State of Decay 2's lackluster multiplayer, Brand went on to say that multiplayer is a weak point for State of Decay 2, but we have learned a great deal from it and are doing many things differently for 3. And then further down in this Reddit thread, someone asked, will State of Decay 3 have better multiplayer? And he simply responded, it will be better. Now, obviously, he didn't cite anything specific, but shout out to Brant, and I pray he doesn't get in trouble for sharing that info on Reddit, because personally, I'm a big fan of his, and I don't want to see anything happen. But he, like I said, he didn't give any specifics, but you have from the developer's mouth, from his own mouth, that multiplayer is going to be better. Now, how it's going to be better, that's kind of like the million-dollar question at the moment. Now, one thing I do feel sure about, a job posting some time ago, this was for a senior systems designer. I uncovered this, and they were looking for someone with experience with online games as a service. They were looking for player retention mechanics and a progression and reward systems. So yeah, we'll kind of see what the online aspect is going to look like, but right now that's kind of been my biggest question of this game, like what is going on with State of Decay 3's multiplayer and how the heck is that gonna look? Now, one other thing that I want to highlight from this Reddit post, he also mentioned when someone asked how State of Decay 2 kind of compares to the competition and what you want to bring to State of Decay 3. He wrote a huge post, but the highlights for me here were, we don't want to compete with like The Last of Us in storytelling. We wanted our systems to weave a world compelling enough that people would tell their own stories. Now, on that front, we learned that we definitely needed to provide a better foundation for narratives. So again, guys, we're going right back to what we talked about earlier. Storytelling is going to be a huge part, and how you drive the story yourself within the sandbox game is pretty much like I mentioned earlier. It's doubled and tripled down in State of Decay 3. Now, guys, that's not all I found as well. The final piece of info, I personally uncovered this by doing, and it was a little random, I went down a very deep internet hole sleuthing to find an old job posting from 2022. I think this is one that I missed. This was for a character art lead. And in this, it clearly mentioned several times that they were looking for someone with skills to create humans, zombies, and here's the key, wildlife. That's the big one there, wardrobe and gear for our next generation of State of Decay. Now, further in this job listing, wildlife gets repeated yet again. So now, guys, go ahead and speculate, because we might see a whole new host of all sorts of wildlife in this game. More than deer, more than wolves, I think, like that we saw in the original trailer. So that would be really exciting, because you can see how they can incorporate wildlife in a lot of different ways. And wildlife is something that we haven't really seen in the State of Decay franchise itself, but how it really gets integrated though for me is the big thing, like the crafting mechanics or any other mechanics in this game for food, all sorts of stuff. Me personally, I would love to see like a big dog as well. I'm a big fan of dogs, so I'd love to see like a dog maybe being incorporated into the community, and maybe it could turn into a zombie. Which, holy crap, that would be insane. But either way, I guess we'll have to kind of wait and see how that kind of plays out. And guys, I gotta say, I am just super hyped about this game, and hopefully this June 9th at the Xbox Showcase, we finally see a trailer of some kind of gameplay. And if we don't, my goodness, I am going to be deeply disappointed, and I'll be like crying in my pillow, and I will just be so sad. So hopefully we do hear about this game, but I still don't expect to see a release for this game until 2025. And I'm actually kind of guessing summer of 2025, but I'm thinking anytime in 2025 we'll see a release. I'm sticking to that prediction, but this game is really starting to look like the best post-apocalyptic survival game we have ever seen to this day. And for proof of that, guys, you're going to want to check out that video on the screen where I talk about features coming to State of Decay 3.